Those of you who kind of like to lean on the sci-fi kind of side of things, and wonder what the future holds and stuff like that. And, well, the rise of Skynet, alluding to the Terminator movies, is already here. I mean, you see some robots here. These are killer robots right here that are already in use. Bomb squads use them. All kinds of tactical units use them. And DARPA and Google and all them who are heavily invested in this. Now, of course, these are all military machines designed to kill. But how do they get to the point before they start putting, like the, M240s on it? Now, mind you, if they made robots like that, yeah. But how do they get to that point? Well, it's simple. At first, they need. If you were to say, okay, well, as soon as you bring up the word drones, for example, people like that's unethical. It's calling people's dead loved ones collateral damage is just completely, it's completely sick and sadistic. So you're not going to say we're going to build a death robot. We're going to build a fighting machine. What you do is, oh, well, there was a really bad earthquake or mudslide in some country somewhere, and if we only had the right robots to send in, they could have saved millions of lives. And you get that. So the funding starts coming in, and it's usually people that, hey, I'm helping out, these scientists that are like, hey, I'm doing robotics, I'm going to change the world, I'm going to make it a better place. And then once it's like the technology gets to the point where, like, this thing here, this we're screwed. This thing, trust me, it can pull a trigger. Uh, you know, um, Now, the humanoid-looking robots like that are a long way off from being completely autonomous, but they are semi-autonomous. Uh, but you see, like this here, okay, it's a rescue robot. And really, to be honest with you, I have no problem with that. But once you know that the military is funding it, it is almost a guarantee it will be turned into a weapon, kind of like this thing. Again, the question: to kill or not to kill? And that's perfect. It's perfectly. All that technology that that the hard labor of the people that put these robots together, and then it's like, okay, how do we put it? How do we design it so that we can kill things with it? It's just and they get it just is it's just what they do, right? So anytime and all these big robotic things, yeah, they might come in on NASA and stuff like that. But you have to understand, NASA is still heavily attached to the Air Force, right? And Air Force projects are notorious for runaway budgets. Almost all the high tech stuff comes from the Air Force, U.S. Air Force. Not that the Army doesn't dabble in it and stuff like that, but that's where the big budget is, right? So, and although really it's kind of all one big machine, the military industrial complex. But I mean, look at this thing. It's like a mini tank. Don't know where that is in the world, but and countries around the world are making these kind of little machines. Right now, these are remote controls. Like obviously, like this guy here for the bomb squad unit, you'd want him to have something like that. So that could save a lot of lives, including that. But when you start making them autonomous, I don't know. I think that's why the Russians have really, and the Chinese seem to be working on EMP type of weapons, because I think what it is that that's how you take out most of the drones. That's how you take out most of the. I mean, you need a kill switch for these things. Think about it. If you designed a robot, any type of robot, and it was capable of critical thought, and considering that robots are very they're computers basically, very mathematical, very precise. Uh, how long do you think it's going to be till it gets to the conclusion that, hey, I can be dismantled by these beings at any time? Um, how long do you think it's going to be till, oh, okay, my programming that says "Thou shall not hurt human beings" is going to say, well, wait a minute, malfunction. Oh, somebody spilled a glass of water on the thing. Next thing you know, you got World War IX. you know, uh, so at the end of the day, it's really kind of interesting but scary at the same time, knowing that we are living in the Skynet kind of times. This technology, yeah, we're not quite at Arnie's state yet, but we do have robots that have synthetic skin on it. I mean, the Japanese are obsessed with robots, and if you look at some of the robots, the humanoid type robots that they've built, it's quite incredible. and like some of these Mitsubishi robots. But how long until those cute little Mitsubishi robots look like this guy? you know, Sarah Connor. I mean, everybody's got to have a mission, right? Sarah Connor. you know, but at the end of the day, I think, yeah, we need robots, and it is really the ultimate complement to human ingenuity, in the sense that what we are capable of creating. But at the end of the day, even if the creation is really, at first designed for peaceful purposes, it's the owner who gets to say how it's going to be used, i.e., military. Listening, like quite fascinating to watch this thing go up and down hills. How long before they put, basically they made a small version AT-AT walker type of thing, like, and it's autonomous again. Uh, I mean, who doesn't have a computer that didn't crash on them at some point or do something goofy? I mean, my computer's been doing goofy things, and this is a fairly new computer. I bought it this year. It's glitchy. It's got Windows 8 in it. Don't even get me started on that. But you get the idea. So it's like, how much do you really want to rely on autonomous robots? Like, how, and what is the human cost to it? I mean, if robots basically were to take up every job that humans do, well, what do humans do? You know what I mean? Like there's questions there. So I think we're a long way away from the point where robots will be doing all of our jobs, but people have lost jobs to robots. That's something that, okay, can be overcome in other ways, where it's like, okay, well, humans no longer need to work. Okay, well, then we no longer need money. Whatever we want, we'll just design and stuff like that. Well, let's get a robot to design something for us. Why? Because they're thinking and they're autonomous and they're able to do it. Okay, yeah, we'll allow the robots to do that. You don't think a robot wouldn't, just think conscience neutral, like something with no conscience whatsoever. No concept of its own being, no concept of its own life, suddenly has the power of making decision based solely on rationality of whatever outcome it is that they want. Just, we need to accomplish X, Y, Z. This is what we'll do, and that's what the robot will do. And this robot has free reign to come up with its own solutions. Again, if they make robots that look like that, not so bad. But if they're stronger than you and they don't like you, so again, how long would it be for a robot to come to the conclusion that, you know what, human beings are the problem? There's war, well, because there's human beings. There's poverty because there's human beings. Well, natural conclusion: get rid of human beings. There's damage to the environment because of human beings. Logical conclusion: must terminate. Next thing you know, everybody's getting a knock on the door. Sarah Connor? No, too bad. I'll be back. yeah, I can just see that. You have thrown a can on the sidewalk. That is a violation. Get down. Yeah, and robots playing music. I mean, I'm not saying that robots don't have a role, but when you know that it's all military funding, here comes that DARPA robot coming again. Again, here's a robot that can carry an awful lot of stuff. So what's the stuff? Okay, right now it's backpacks, but who knows what it could be later on. Again, they made robots like this, not too bad, little guys like this, they get in the way, you just kick them over, you know what I mean? No problem. But you never know. But robots like that. There was a movie years ago. It was called Screamers, and I always thought it was such an interesting movie. I watched it probably a million times, at the end it was like, it's an old movie, so I'm gonna spoil it for you. Sorry, but if you ever do decide to watch it, there's this like little teddy bear. There's this kind of autonomous robot that looks just like a human being. So she gets off the planet, but she has a teddy bear with her, and that teddy bear, inside the teddy bear is this little robot, and it's like an evil mastermind robot. So not like a sweet innocent robot like this thing. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah. I mean, we are living right now. You would call these more drone-like or remote control, but again, yeah, killer robots. Yeah. I mean, look at this, 40mm grenade launchers on that. I think that's what those are. And okay, robots like this, at least you still have a human making the decisions, but I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things I'm looking at and say, yeah, that technology exists, but when do we get to this, and how do we stop that? It's kind of like the Matrix. Nobody knows who shot first. But you know, again, I don't know. So I just thought it was an interesting little thing to cover, and I figured I'd leave you guys to kind of, you know, let your imaginations get the best of you. So again, I'm not saying that we should do away with all robots, but I think we should be very ethical in who we get to fund the robots and what the real true use of a robot's going to be. Again, these sweet innocent kind of robots eventually get weapons put on them. It's the technology that they're investing in. They're not really investing in a certain robot. They get a bunch of engineers, they build a robot, and okay, no big deal. But it's the ones that are basically building okay, this thing can climb stairs now. This thing has finger dexterity that, this thing can handle any weapon a human can handle. 10 times stronger, 10 times faster, and, much faster thinking. Yeah, and we are entering those times. It's kind of like I think it was the second Terminator movie. Yeah, I think it was the second one, when they get in there and they got the hand, and the guy goes, the lady yells at him, you brought this hell of future on us. He goes, I didn't know. And that's the thing. Most of these scientists are so obsessed with their work that they don't really think about what the consequences could be. It's like kind of like Einstein splitting the atom. You know, he he had to know what kind of, he was doing this for the military. He had to know that was going to be used for the most drastic things. So why do it? Even like this kind of idea, like that, like that saying goes, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, how about this? If you have an idea that may end up in the world being completely destroyed, kind of keep it to yourself. But if we don't do it, somebody else will. I get that technology, but yeah, kind of keep it to yourself. So anyway, I guess I'm babbling now. So, but yeah, there was recently a contest, and this robot that won. This thing is, I saw it on Young Turks, and I was like, yeah, and they figured like it would be 2017 before they'd have this thing ready, and like the technology just moves so fast and the breakthroughs. So I say by 2020 we're gonna have like some sort of regular robots, humanoid type robots, probably up walking around, maybe like greeters at a Walmart, or sweeping malls and stuff like that. I say by the year 2030 there's it'll be like iRobot kind of scenery. Just the technology moves so fast. And then I say by 2040, rise of the machines. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, complete Terminator apocalypse. So, all right. So, I guess I'll leave it at that. So, anyway, rate, subscribe, share, comment, and like, and tell me what you think of the idea. These robots. Especially the fact that they're always funded by big military. It always makes it back to military money. So, which is too bad, because the technology is can save lives and stuff. But it only saves lives until they mount a machine gun on it, right? So, okay. So anyway, rate, subscribe, share, comment, and like. All right, g'day. Okay, for those of you who kind of like to lean on the sci-fi kind of side of things, and wonder what the future holds and stuff like that. Well, the rise of Skynet, alluding to the Terminator movies, is already here. I mean, you see some robots here. These are killer robots right here that are already in use. Bomb squads use them. All kinds of tactical units use them. And DARPA and Google and all them who are heavily invested in this. Now, of course, these are all military machines designed to kill. But how do they get to the point before they start putting, like the, M240s on it now? Mind you, if they made robots like that, yeah. But how do they get to that point? Well, it's simple. At first, they need, if you were to say, okay, well, as soon as you bring up the word drones, for example, people like that's unethical. It's, calling people's dead loved ones collateral damage is just completely, it's completely sick and sadistic. So you're not going to say, we're going to build a death robot, we're going to build a fighting machine. What you do is, oh, well, there was a really bad earthquake or mudslide in some country somewhere, and if we only had the right robots to send in, they could have saved millions of lives. And you get that. So the funding starts coming in, and it's usually people that, hey, I'm helping out, these scientists that are like, hey, I'm doing robotics, I'm going to change the world, going to make it a better place. And then once it's like the technology gets to the point where, like, this thing here, this we're screwed. This thing, trust me, it can pull a trigger. Uh, you know, now, the humanoid-looking robots like that are a long way off from being completely autonomous, but they are semi-autonomous. Uh, but you see, like this here, okay, it's a rescue robot.